I think there's always room for improvement when it comes to your desk. Well, that's how I at least look at it. Because of my line of work and what I get to do for a living, I get to really push the envelope. I have the chance to review tech that can be contradicting, fun, awesome, reliable, tech that sucks. There's a lot of tech that I'm fortunate enough to put my hands on and draw my own conclusion based on my lifestyle. And that, my friends, is what this is. An OLED monitor for my own personal desk setup at home. I've been wanting to try one for a while, and with all the drawbacks OLED has for productivity use, I still wanted to be able to enjoy those rich and bright colors OLED offers. So I made MSI send me this MSI PG 32NUX QD-OLED monitor for me to actually enjoy and draw my own conclusions. So what does a $950 monitor entail? For starters, the unboxing experience is pretty straightforward. When I opened this, I realized that in here you will find the usual things like the base of the monitor, which is indeed made of plastic, along with some metal. Of course, it comes with its own set of cables, such as a USB-B to USB-A cable for KVM functionality, the power cord of course, an ultra high-speed HDMI 2.1 cable, and a set of standoffs in case you want to VESA mount it, but I didn't. The rest of the box really is just the monitor arm and the monitor itself. For me, it was a super easy installation that required absolutely no help. I mean, you just carefully snap the arm on and tighten the base screw. It's a base that delivers a -30 to 30 degree swivel movement, a -10 to 10 degrees pivot adjustment, a total height adjustment of about 110 millimeters, and a full tilt functionality from -5 degrees to 15 degrees. So yeah, I mean, like I said, setting this whole thing up really is no rocket science. You literally just snap on the base of it right into the mount. Since I didn't VESA mount this, I decided to use its base. I think as it is, this is such a gorgeous monitor, and the way it presents itself, it's a super slim panel that at first glance really screams OLED, and I'm always quite amazed at how thin OLED devices can get. Of course, it's not all thin, because that control box right there, as fanless as it is, it incorporates a custom heatsink. The bottom of the back panel minutely extends and was designed with the intent to probably also incorporate the OSD controls. OSD controls that also control a bit of its design by simply allowing you to control some of the ARGB functionalities the back panel has. I think it's overall a very nice, clean, minimal look without tons of branding everywhere. I'm definitely a fan of the design, and I love when companies have cable management in mind. I mean, you guys know me, when it comes to making things look as clean as possible, I do try my best. Yes, I would have loved to VESA mount this at the end of the day. That's something that you can 100% do with the help of the standoffs, but you know, for the first time ever, I decided to make it work with a stand. Let me tell you, it actually turned out to be a great idea. With a bit of patience and some cable management skills, I was able to set this whole thing up like nothing ever happened. So that was my whole Monday. Tuesday, I did spend some time testing it. I brought a whole PC into the mix to really test some gaming. I brought an MSI pre-built PC actually, because they are responsible for making their own motherboards and GPUs. They are like one of those brands that are always ahead of the game at launch. Within this desktop, you've got MSI branded everywhere. It was all put together within their local factory in the US, so dealing with warranty claims in North America, if you ever were to with them, is super easy. Their desktops offer great 24/7 customer service with quick response, the best quality control they can offer, and an extensive lineup of desktops with different price points. Overall, it's why I brought their Aegis RS2 here, a PC with an Intel Core i7 14700KF, a 4080 Super to help me push Cyberpunk with 32 GB of RAM and a 3-fan radiator liquid cooling system. And I've noticed while benchmarking Cyberpunk that the system stays as cool as it can while keeping the fans relatively at low decibels. I don't know if you guys remember, but about a few weeks ago I redid part of this setup, and I set this whole thing up in a way that I could rock any laptop and a console on the side. Like with one button, I can practically shuffle between these two. Well, because this has a nice variety of ports, things such as KVM support, a USB-C power delivery at 90 watts, a display port and 2 HDMI ports, I can very much set this whole thing up to KVM between my laptop and my PC automatically if I was to set that up within the OSD. An OSD that has been very quick to navigate with the joystick. I mean, I have absolutely no complaints here. It's a menu that is able to deliver current settings at a glance. It allows for you to change any sort of image setting if you need to, like sRGB simulation is one of them. I've been able to rearrange my shortcuts depending on the direction the joystick points to. PIP and PvP is also possible, and any sort of gaming features you can imagine is delivered within this menu. But the biggest thing that I think is the most important feature this has is what MSI OLED Care 2.0 delivers. This here is what helps prevent screen burn-in within a long period of time. So far, things such as pixel shifting, static screen detection, dimming, pixel refresh, multi-logo detection, taskbar detection, boundary detection is what can allow the monitor's panel to extend its longevity. I'm not certain how these features will impact things over time, but I've tried things like the taskbar detection menu. If you set the taskbar detection to its highest dimming level, it actually reduces the brightness of the Windows 11 taskbar in light mode to around 20 to 25%. All of it by still not changing the brightness of other apps. As a peace of mind though, MSI's panel comes with a 3-year OLED warranty which covers burn-in as well, so 3 years gives you enough time to potentially encounter any burn-in issues to be able to replace the panel at zero cost. As a whole, I mean, we all know OLED panels are just not it for productivity work. Like 8 hours a day of productivity work may eventually lead to burn-in. The thing is that OLED monitors aren't the best for desktop usage, productivity apps, and web browsing. For some people, there might not be a way for them to do their job without there being a lot of static UI elements sitting in the same spot all day. Not only that, but aside from burn-in, most OLED panels deliver poor text clarity compared to other displays. Until now. Well, sort of, but it's definitely heading in the right direction. You see this, here's a 3840 by 2160 panel that delivers a pixel density of 140 ppi. The higher pixel density allows for the panel to eliminate noticeable green and pink fringe that QD-OLED panels output as they use non-standard pixel sub-layouts. And from experience, it really is not as noticeable as other panels we've tried in the past. I think it's not something you'll spot within your everyday usage, or at least from what my eyes can see, it really doesn't seem to bother me. I think at 140 ppi it seems to be enough to mask text fringing as much as it can. The higher the ppi, the less noticeable it will be. I think past a certain point it should be way too subtle for the human eye to even notice, and I think at 140 pixels per inch it really is getting there. Although if you really want like the best display for productivity work, the best thing you can do is to pick a display with a standard RGB subpixel layout for the sharpest and clearest text. Triangular subpixel layout, which is what this has, delivers the ability to optimize color accuracy and image quality by arranging subpixels in a precise triangular pattern, which is why this is amazing for gaming and amazing for content consumption. But for someone that reads a lot, or maybe an illustrator and architect who works with a lot of thin lines, artifacts might look a bit chromatic and blurry. But like I said, at 140 ppi it's almost non-noticeable. There are ways to fix OLED clarity to achieve higher text clarity and smoother edges, and no, it's been debunked, but ClearType does not support this format as it hasn't been built into the software yet. But MacType, on the other hand, can temporarily solve noticing green fringe on top of text and pink fringe at the bottom, although it's not a full universal solution as a lot of apps, including all web browsers, don't support it. As a whole though, when this panel comes together, it's absolutely gorgeous. The colors are immaculate and the quality of the image is superb. OLED HDR and picture quality is so hard to beat, and going with an IPS LCD option feels like going backwards really. We all know that QD-OLED is not perfect though, like in bright environments where light sources are in front of the display, the panel has a tendency to reflect ambient light, raising blacks to the point where they appear somewhat gray, making rich blacks not as good as they should be compared to darker conditions. Although, in practice, as noticeable as it can get at times, In normal lighting conditions, the monitor looks fantastic. I mean, we've seen this already in multiple reviews. Just like we've seen reflection handling, which is decent. It's a glossy panel at the end of the day, so expect some reflections. What I do like is the viewing angles of the panel. I think they are absolutely excellent, even at some pretty extreme angles where you won't notice any issues like slightly lower contrast or edges being washed out. As for color consistency across the whole screen, it's also been very good. White and gray uniformity from the naked eye definitely seems very consistent. We've got 99% DCI-P3, 97% of Adobe RGB, and about 250 nits in peak brightness for desktop usage. In HDR mode, the monitor is unbelievable because of the nature of OLED, with QD-OLED typically getting much brighter when displaying saturated colors and being able to control each pixel individually. The contrast between dark shadows and bright highlights are so accurate that as a whole it just outputs such a good image on screen. MSI also offers two different types of HDR modes: True Black 400 mode that caps at 400 nits and a peak 1000 nits mode. I did wish for the OSD to have the possibility to maybe toggle the ability to switch color spaces automatically. I would think a simple update in the firmware could avoid us going into the OSD every time to switch from HDR to SDR and vice versa. The good thing is that at the time of this recording, it seems like MSI is listening to consumers and is keeping up with patches and releasing new updates that affects monitor performance in a good way. Overall, when in SDR, I will 1000% say that sRGB mode works perfectly. It really allows SDR content to be viewed accurately. With this being a 240Hz monitor, the gaming experience is absolutely flawless, and this is where this monitor truly shines. Playing Call of Duty or Valorant on a flat screen that offers OLED, high refresh rates, and a low response time has been so good. The combination of those three features for me within any gaming monitor really is incredible to have. If you take a bit of time to download the Gaming Intelligence app, it will also offer the ability to change between productivity and gaming by changing settings in the fly. But games like Cyberpunk and Ultra with ray tracing and with path tracing enabled look absolutely insane. It really is a monitor capable of delivering the ultimate gaming experience, especially when you really truly take the time to play with the HDR mode and the OSD and you manually switch to one of the wider color gamut modes. And because of the nature of OLED panels being able to deliver an almost non-existent response time, it's also a monitor that reduces motion blur by a lot and ghosting during fast-paced gaming. I think a simple UFO test would be the ideal way for me to simply showcase this. If I was to recommend this experience to you, because yes, I think OLED is indeed an experience, it would mean that you'd need to be the type of person that works from home from time to time, but also games a lot. Yes, the increased pixel density of this panel has huge benefits for text clarity and productivity work, but there's still risk of using OLED panels when it comes to static desktop workflows. For gaming though, there seems to be no other monitor worth recommending, especially at this price point. My only pet peeve is that the $950 price markup is only available in the US, so you might see the prices hovering at around $1,000 to $1,003 if you live in Canada. There are lots of reviews out there recommending this monitor. I think it's fair to say it's a good buy. I will be keeping it here for a while. It's going to be the daily within this setup, so I'm excited to use OLED for an extensive period of time, especially something as flat as this. That being said, I hope you guys liked this video. Hope I made you discover something new, and we'll talk next Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.